Hello, guys, and welcome to the very first episode of Spec Chat. My name is Neil, aka Paradox303. We're going to be discussing everything to do with the competitive Age of Empires 2 world, what's currently ongoing. Of course, some major talking points with Warlords 2. We're going to be discussing the tournament, the results, what's been going on, and then we're going to be doing some small Tourney Spotlights and what else is going on in the scene. This is obviously our first episode, so if you do enjoy it, please hit the like and subscribe. If you want to join our Discord, that's going to be down at the bottom of our screen. But the best thing you can do is leave a comment, kind of let us know how we got on and what can be improved in future. Let's get over to the intro and let's get started. Okay, welcome to the very first episode of Spec Chat. I'm joined today by Tarzus and Young Panda. This is our very first episode, guys, so if you clicked on the link and you're here, thank you for being a first-time listener. A couple of quick thank yous today before we start today. The lovely logo was made by Uglie. As you can see, we've got some villager themes, very nice. If you do want to contact her for anything as well, it's going to be at I am Uglie, UGLIE, not UGLY. I did get a bit confused when I first said that. And then we're going to have a quick thank you to Rbase, who's prepared some quiz questions for us. But before we get on to that, let's jump straight into our first item on the agenda, which is going to be the Warlords 2 group stage. Warlords 2, of course, a big tournament going on at the moment, hosted by MembTV. Big prize pool, $50,000, and had a host of commentators on the show. Really good to see when he's doing his cast. He's got pretty much a different person every time, ranging from people like T West, Survivalist, Margugu, Fiage even, who's working for Forgotten Empires now, T90 even on the other day. But yeah, we're now into the quarter-final stage after the round of 16 has been completed, which was a Swiss stage. And I guess, guys, the first big kind of talking point is the players going through, right, in the kind of fashion they did do.
Yeah, I think. I think by virtue of the Swiss system, which pits people of the same scores against one another, there might be like a debate about like people having like a more like an easier route than others. I've seen, like, for example, Cito losing his first two matches and then winning his last three, potentially faced like quote unquote, obviously, because everyone is very strong, weaker opponents at someone like Doubt, who did very well at the beginning and then had like tougher opponents towards the end. What do you think about it?
So we can see with Sato, yeah, the 3-0 loss to Yo to begin with, and the 3-0 versus Barrels, and that was man, that was a set where Barrels was completely. It was very, very strange. It was in domination mode, and then he got to face Hart. It was, of course, down the bottom. That was an elimination game. 3-0 Tim, 3-1 versus Winchester, then ACCM with the 3-0 at the end as well. And then Doubt, on the other hand, 3-1 versus ACCM. Only lost 3-2 to Hera, arguably one of the top two players in the world, arguably number one. Then beat Jordan 3-1. 3-2 loss versus Leary, and then had Valessa on a very bad day as Doubt was ill, and faced them and lost 3-2. So you can definitely make an argument that the route was weaker, and it's not a true Swiss system either. It's presented like this, but it's not a true Swiss system because you're having people going out after 3 games, and there's a little bit of a confusion there.
Yeah, so it's not the first time that Mem has done a system like that. If I remember correctly, at least the first Battle of Africa was the same with 8 teams. With 8, you have a potential rematch at the end. I feel like with 16, you make sure that you don't have a rematch. Like for example, here we could have Cito against the Barrels at the very end. But that was avoided because we have enough players. So I think I quite like the system actually. It avoids bogging down. So like you take away people that already won 3 matches, because like if you imagine after 3 matches, you could have Viper and Yo like maybe play a fourth round, but then after that round 5, the winner of those two would need to play a game that makes no sense because they would be the only undefeated player and they would have to play someone else that has losses. So it can it can have an impact on the result with like needless matches. So I think I prefer the system that has been chosen here.
Yeah, I think it's been better for building like the hype of the tournament. You know, you can see how there's just more meaningful games at the very end of round 5
Yeah,
and kind of cutting out ones that are not. So yeah, there's certainly merit for it. And I'm not going to say it's a bad format or anything. And it has produced good games at the end of the day. I
yeah.
guess. What's the biggest surprise of the groups? What are you thinking, Panther?
I'm gonna say I think it is Sito. The way he didn't have the most convincing qualifiers, and then his first 2 rounds, 3-0 lost to Yo, and then 3-0 to Balls, and at Balls, especially I remember that Nomad game. It was Balls had some ridiculous villager kill number there. I can't remember. It was something like over 20 while he was still like in feudal age. It was, and I was like, oh, Sito's as a rough, like rough road ahead of him, and then like he turned it around, which it was really good to see it as well. And then the other one for me is also doubt not making it, but I understand the circumstances that like maybe he had a bit of a harder route, as you said, and then he was unfortunately ill on that day when he had to play. But other than that, things went as expected, I would say, mostly. Like, you expect Yo, Viper, Tato, Lyria, Valessa to go through most of the times, right? And it's just those, okay, say, like, number 7 and 8 that is very open for debate. But anyone can be there in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that just super unfortunate. Like being ill on that day, and that's one of the major drawbacks when you have the Microsoft events. They're very tight on their timeline. So if you're ill in one day, either you don't play and you suck it up, and you just say, I'm not going to win today because the event has to move on, or you play and you probably play suboptimally, which is it's part and parcel, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No one can sub in and play for you.
I think Vilese is also an especially bad matchup for Doubt. I think Vilese has won their 4 latest encounters, all of them at S tier events or like qualifiers for S tier. So RMS Cup 2 in 2022, then NAC 4 qualifier, then King of the Desert 5, and then Warlords 2. So it's definitely a matchup that seems to go his way more often than not, at least in recent times.
That guy is a GL
Lifetime
killer,
they're
man.
squared 6-6.
That
Yeah,
guy,
Yeah.
that
because
guy's
he
a
has a
GL killer.
great record against Viper as well, and a pretty good record against Tato too. So
If you look at those matches you just said, most of them are like going to the final game,
yeah,
always. So
it's always like
that's
he clutches it in the end. So like RMS
yeah.
Cup 2 was 3-2, NAC 4 4-3, Warlords 3-2. The only one that wasn't that like was King of the Desert 5, which was only 3-1.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It seems if when Dart wins, it's usually like a 3-0 or a 3-1. Funnily enough.
Unless he's playing
Yeah,
Leary, which always turns out to usually be like 5 games.
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the biggest surprises was Jordan. Like, quite convincingly getting into the top 8 in the end with the Frio versus Nikov and then the Frio versus Barrels in the end. And I think
yeah.
not just surprising me, surprising himself from what I saw on Twitter the other day is like, whoa, I'm working full time now, and it's like I'm actually still performing at a really good level.
So if you take Jordan's results as a whole, like through his DE career, let's say, I don't think it's surprising because like you would expect him to beat people like Nikov and Varls. But considering like the recent form, like we've seen Varls super good against Sito, super good against Nikov. And the beginning of the tournament for Jordan, who lost against Vilese, very tight set, and then barely bit freaking Andy. Especially like he took like this like 2-hour victory in the Black Forest game that could easily have gone either way. So like it was very difficult for Jordan at the start, but then after losing to Doubt, it was very smooth sailing against Nikov and Balls. I would say almost like on the last day where Sito, Jordan, and Vilese qualified, probably the underdog. The underdog won in every set if we can like call Jordan an underdog against Balls. I think considering the shape, it's fair to say. But yeah, interesting results and shows that everybody can beat everyone at this level.
Yes, I think outside of the top 4, or maybe let's extend that down to like the top 6 players, and even that like 4 to 6 range can be a bit of a toying cost. But like the 6 to 16, I would say from player 7 to like player 16, it feels like anyone can really beat anyone on the right day, which is it's a very healthy thing for the competitive scene at the moment, which is good.
And I think considering I think Vilese used to be considered number 6, but I think it's even maybe like top 4 plus Tato. That's like kind of always consistently qualifying and making late rounds. But after that, like you said, it's super open and super exciting.
Yeah, I think top 5 is, if you just look at the top 5 there, Yale, Viper, Tattle, Weary, Hera, that's pretty set. And then Vice probably is the number 6 sneaking in. Or like Vice, I doubt, would be the argument, potentially.
Yeah, I think that depends on the tournament. Sometimes you can make an argument for ACCM. Sometimes it used to be Winchester as well, contending for this spot.
Yeah.
Vilese has had like maybe like a little bit of a decrease in his shape. I think he's maybe like working or studying a lot more. But yeah, still super strong player. Obviously, made the quarters there.
I believe he's at university at the moment. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's what I've heard. Definitely more busy anyway and can't spend as much time playing the game, as far as I'm aware. Okay, let's get a little roundup, shall we, of the stats from the group stage. Panda, should we start with maps or do you want to start with civs? I think does it make more sense to start with maps, just like in a draft?
Yeah, I guess. I'm not exactly sure how I should approach this, but I'll go with maps that are picked first most of the time. So like game 1 pick. We've had I guess unsurprisingly, most is in the semi-open category, where that has been offered the most so far with 9 times, and then the player got to choose the map they picked equally 3 times each for Arabia, Enclosed, and Gold Rush, which is, I guess, not unexpected. It's also like a safe option to go for unless you are really confident in your skill, I would say. And it's not super aggressive, but also not like everyone can play it, and most people here in the top 16 probably fancy their chances against each other on these semi-open maps. You can debate whether they are semi-open or not. But
I think that is a bit of a talking point for like some of the Arabia gens I've seen. It's like, is that really semi-open? And then you put it in with Gold Rush. Gold Rush semi-open feels like clutching at straws a little bit there, because it's how many palisade walls do you really need to have, like, to realistically wall off in Gold Rush? Like, sometimes like 20 to 30. It's not a big investment at all, but some of the Arabia gens, you're talking way more than that.
Yeah, so even in this semi-open category, we have what you're saying is that we have like
a huge variance, you know,
pretty
like
wide variance. Like Arabia leans more towards the open, and Gold Rush almost towards the closed. Because like very often we have seen fast castle right on Gold Rush. I think most of the games.
Yeah,
it happens quite a lot.
Hera went for that crazy one with Kamarn. What was it, like minute 11 or something? It was something stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, it's a 9-bill start, so he cut off some time, but.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But it's still, it's a crazy time.
Yeah, it was sick.
Yeah. Then second most played category for first is hybrid maps with 8. People mostly going for 4 legs there. I mean, that's a standard map. That's a like everyone play. Oh, it's in the ranked map pool a lot, so it's also something again people are very confident with. It's played hard. It's been chosen half the time. We have Kawasan's 3 games, and then Scandinavia 1. Then after that, let's see, we have 6 for open maps, and then the rest are very low.
Very
the
low.
lowest being Nomad, the Nomad group, which just got off at once, and then whoever did just pick Nomad. I don't think I saw that set. But then otherwise, map that has been drafted the most as a home map is Arena.
It's Arena, right?
Yeah. I guess we have Clowns in the top 16, maybe.
So
it's also
what I
been
think
the
is
most
interesting
played out of all this. Like
out
only
of
once
that,
not played, which I assume was when the set didn't get finished, because like it has been played 15 out of the 16 times it's been drafted, which is a very, very high turnover.
Yeah. Tarsus, what were you
I
going to
think
say
it's
about
interesting.
the clowns?
Yeah, so like what I think is interesting in terms of maps is like if you take, for example, the open or semi-open map, you can see that the distribution is pretty uniform on the different maps in the pool. But then if you look at the closed maps and the nomad maps, there's like a very, very skewed distribution. So if you generally the option to play closed maps, and on nomad, they don't want to play land nomad, they don't want to play mired, they want to play nomad. So like it's very interesting to see that on some pools people say, okay, like every map is kind of the same, I'm just gonna pick up whatever I prefer. And then on some pools it's like, okay, no, I don't want to play back forest, I don't want to play hideout, this has to be arena, and it has to be nomad. So I'm wondering if towards the later stages we might see some like strategy play for going for those like maps that have not seen a lot of play, like land nomad, mired, hideout, or if it's just that the players don't like the maps in general, and so they will go towards the more standard option. I don't know.
I know, per hideout, man. 2 games split. It's crazy.
I think mostly it's gonna be the things they know, and
yeah,
maybe because it's gonna be best of 7, might see. Actually, the best of 7 that means 1 in each category is gonna get picked anyway. So,
oh yeah, 7 categories total.
Maybe I think we can see hideout a bit more, but I don't think any of the other things are gonna stay the same. Most people are gonna pick migration because it's a bit more slower on the water side. So it's not like, oh, you take a fight, you lose water, and then you're just behind. So I think like that's gonna stay the same. Most picked in the like the elimination stage, and then I'm not sure what map people will go for in the chaotic group. Probably still border dispute.
It looks like Persicatra there have been played once.
Yeah, they're not going for the chaos map at all. If you look at it's only been drafted like 15 times combined, so way less than every other category.
And I think it makes sense that like Sakatra only played once, right? Like it's a map that like you're leaving things up to chance. Well, I guess it makes more sense for like a higher seed not to want to play it because you're leaving more up to chance, like having your stuff lamed, losing an elephant and whatnot, like massively put yourself in a hole. Whereas for a lower seed, to me, it's probably a map you want to target.
Yeah.
But it's only
I
been
think that's
played
exactly
once.
that. Like, yeah. Like you said, you're leaving more things open to chance, to like losing the lane game and suddenly like you're super far behind. So probably as the higher
Also
seed, you
what-
really don't want to play that. And even as the lower seed, it's like you can prepare some strategies, but it can go very wrong, and suddenly like you've negated one of your home map advantage or something like that.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And then the fact that there is like access to the water on it might make people a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I think the
I can
water's a
see you
bait.
have to.
I think it's a bait.
I do think so as well. Because the fish not worth it, right?
Just for
With how far it is.
yeah, so for full context, it's shorefish, right? The full thing is shorefish.
Yeah, there's no deep fish on it, and it's like, oh, you're lucky to if you get a fish close by. It's so I don't know. I don't think personally, I wouldn't say it's worth it. Having seen it played a couple of times in the qualifiers, but yeah, it's very unknown. So people maybe like that playing safe, like let's just ignore this because it can like I can get maybe I can kick myself. Like I went for a dock and then I'm actually far behind, and then that's not ideal. And then you're game down suddenly when you didn't want to be, and so you go for something more safe, like border dispute in that group.
Which sounds crazy, but it's not. Again, like border dispute to me doesn't like. But oh, sorry. When you look at it at first glance, you see how close the TCs are, and you think, okay, that could be quite a chaotic map. It's more just like an open land map for me. That's how it's been played out. I'm thinking of like talking about Satoan qualifiers that set with Mihai in that last game he played in border dispute. Like super aggressive game with towers, man at arms. You have the dogs in the middle, which are good for the demos as well. I was just like, now I'm actually saying it does sound chaotic, but it just sounds more like just a normal land map to me. But I don't know. It's actually been a good one to watch when it has been played.
I think that was Yo made longboat against Pito on this map.
Yes.
To control the
Yeah. Taking out the TC with longboats. What an absolute gamer.
Yeah, that was very impressive. We
It's
talk about
also
the fifth or
to note about border dispute. It's a completely changed map from last season.
Yeah.
There's a pond in the middle, and I don't know how to call it, but like the steps going up almost on the outside of the map. Which actually, personally, I wouldn't say this. You can call this map border dispute, but I do like it.
It's a different map, right? It's kind of similar to the Socotra situation, where it's not really Socotra if you can make a dock. Like, let's be realistic here. It's just not the same map. There might be some core aspects there, but there's some pretty big differences. And I think border dispute, if I remember correctly, was this is the dish map with Dish and Viper, right? And then Viper getting up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's mostly like I think a flat map. There's nothing. There's nothing between the players except for the balls. I like this version of border dispute, but I think I would have called it something else maybe. Stick with it. Stick with it. Like I said, I do like the map. So
if you didn't do any practice and you're like, man, I'm gonna pick the same map as last time, and then you boot up into the game and you're like, what the fuck is this? This is not border dispute. This is not the same game. But it'd be their fault.
Well, I guess that's yeah.
That's what we call it. That's what we call a skill issue. Okay, so we should move on to Civ then. Let's see what is sticking out. The one thing that is sticking out to me is the complete demise of Hindustanis. And not even been drafted once. and they were still getting drafted to NEC. They had a really bad win rate, and honestly, it feels like they've not recovered.
Did the was NEC off before or after they lost the food, like the food discount?
Good question.
I can go look up.
So we're talking March of this year. I'm not 100% sure, but it seemed like a turn. The players were still picking them and drafting them and playing them. But the win rate for them in the tournament was really, really bad. And it feels like it's kind of stuck with a lot of players who are like, nah, they're just not any good now. Of course, they had Halb when they first got released, and Halb got took away, rightly so, because that was just insane. But
I think Gulam was nerfed as well lately, or maybe like the cost was increased, something like that.
No, actually, Gulam got buffed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so Hindustanis, I don't know if they played on this patch, but on 7 March, they got the food discount nerfed, and then NEC started on the 11th, 4 days later. And if I remember, I think they played on the newest balance.
So I think they had new balance, old pathing, if I remember completely right.
Yeah. Yes, that was it. But yeah, Gulam got buffed with the Rome DLC, which I remember testing them a couple months ago. They're actually stronger than they were at release when everyone's complaining about them, but they're not seen as much anymore. But I think it's the overall situation of the Civ, with the eco just being a lot less worse. In a sense, with the food discount you lost out, so you can't get away with that. I think if I remember when they got released or reworked, people would be going FC Gulam kind of plays and just decimate
like up against archers, or even up against eagles as well. They're really solid.
Yeah,
had some decent options. Sticking on Dynasties of India civs, I'm just looking at Dravidians. Played 7, 1-1, and then all the maps are played on as they are water maps, so you'd have to really get into the bare bones there and look of the high seed versus low seed.
Look down from the regions. To me, the real standouts are Italians. 1 win out of 9 games, all on water maps. and the other standout is Byzantine. So like they only have 58% rates overall, but that's because of the hybrid maps where they don't perform well. But on water maps, they have won 6 out of 7 games. So is Byzantine's the best water civ at the moment? At least on Warlords, it seems so.
Yeah, I mean the fires are always very difficult to deal with, and then cheaper imp is always nice. But I guess you can make very similar arguments for Italians. Like the cheaper ups, all the dog technologies are cheaper, and 11% win rates. I think you'd really have to go and look at all the series here and like see if there's like a high seed bias. But I'd be interested to know that. But I didn't even notice that at first glance. Italians 11%. That is brutality.
I feel like the skill level is close enough that we can't really put all that on the seed difference. Obviously, it's gonna play part if like a very strong player meets like maybe one of the worst players of the 16. But this is like the top 16 players overall. The skill level is gonna be very close. So yeah, like to me, Italians being like so low is an indicator of like either like a meta shift that makes them not really shine, or like just other civs just outperforming. Maybe it's just a case of Byzantines having like a particularly good matchup against Italians. That could be something.
It could just be that Byzantines fits the 9 will start more. Potentially.
Oh yeah, that could be that as well. Yeah, because we have to remember that.
So just I've added a
I have to go for like a minute.
Yeah, that's fine.
Italians have been 4 of those 7 games on migration. 4 times they were used by the lower seed and they lost. on migration.
Okay. That's interesting.
And then they lost twice with the higher seed. I was Leary losing to Doubt, and then ACCM losing to Sito. And the civ spread is kind of wild. There's Deans twice, Japanese twice. Then there's a Hansa Persians.
Of course, the Huns game with Doubt, which was Giga Brain.
Yeah.
Even Jordan getting on to Genoese and somehow not winning that game. I was like, what is going on here? Ridiculous.
When I saw it, I actually thought it's gonna be something that happened. So I don't know if you ever watched Resonance 22, and he had this series on YouTube, Break the Meta.
Yeah.
And I think this was Doubt that played in it, and he did FC. This is like, back when you needed a like in the old AOC days, and then he picked Hans on migration against Vikings, and he just went for Fast Castle, docked on the other side, and went fires to kill his opponent, who was playing the usual kind of galley style with Vikings, and then just couldn't deal with it. I was like this almost in a whoa, such a great strategy. And I do think I remember, I might be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure Doubt once told the story as well on his stream, where he said the tournament's kind of like opponent picked the civilization for him because he was too good or something. I can't remember exactly, and then they gave him Hans because Hans wasn't like really the best on migration, you'd say. And then he's just like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna play the normal style, I'm just gonna go forward docu. But I might be wrong and misremembering the story, but but I really thought when I saw the Hans thing, like, oh, he's gonna do this. He didn't do it exactly.
Yeah.
He went for this.
The 9-wheel starts actually help Hans because they don't have the wood penalty. So
No, they do.
They do?
Yeah, they still do.
I thought every seat had the same food.
No,
that was
no.
the crux of Chinese, no?
Yeah, but isn't the problem is you start with minus 30 wood.
Yeah, it's minus
to
wood as
compensate
well.
for the houses, so they start with 70. But because like which they did, which is actually really smart, which I like, you start on Empire Wars, so the villagers automatically start chopping the tree, which is nice. So then it's something like, you just leave them until they drop off once, and then you go build your lumber camp. It's not a big deal, I think. I think let's see, Hun win rate. They've only been played twice. So.
Yeah, only twice.
Yeah, not a lot at all.
But I think that 30 wood doesn't, like, they just need to, like, people just need to try them out more. There's so many civs as well, right?
Yeah.
And like they're still like decent on like hybrid water maps anyway, because you're saving the wood on the houses. You're never gonna get pop capped. It's actually super nice when you've got like 4 dogs pumping. You're trying to make villagers at the same time. You're like, shit, my pop is actually going up very fast here. Okay. What else is sticking out to me here? I'm trying to look for
Incas and Persians.
Incas
really well.
Are super high after not the most recent patch, but the patch before, of course, getting the big buff of the reduced food count, the free llama now. Well, that's a team bonus, which is nice for team games. Persians, of course, got the big buff coming off the most recent patch. Major changes there with Paladin gone into Savar, but the Dark Age eco bonus is now back. And
yes.
they're getting played in more than one map type. If you can see, that's nearly it's all across the board, which is not a huge surprise for me. The thing that really gets me is like, obviously we've had new civs introduced to the game in the last few months since the Persian bonus got took away. But the Persian bonus before it got took away because it was like, okay, this is too strong, and it's like, okay, we're gonna give you new stuff, and we're gonna give you that old thing we took away, and we're gonna give you that back. Yeah. And I was like, what? Like, surely that's going to be too much, but here we are, and they are performing very well, it has to be said.
Yeah. So, like, for the bonus I think maybe it was like overreacting when they took it away, because the tournaments that had happened, that where Persians were really one of the topics. I think it was Hidden Cup
They
3,
picked a lot of
and
mirrors.
a lot of the maps of Hidden Cup 3 were those like hybrid maps where the TC bonus and the dog bonus just like all play together and gives you like this very very powerful economy. So yeah, and this is what we are seeing here. I think Kawasat, yeah, 4 out of 5 wins. They're doing very well in like pure water maps as well, which is kind of surprising. But yeah, they definitely shine on those settings. Yeah.
I think though I did try and look up some stats for before they got lost the 5% bonus, and they actually didn't have that good a win rate. Which like personally, I don't think it was ever needed to be taken away. Uh, a problem was just like that they had that command run where it was super cheap, right? With the upgrade was cheaper. You didn't, I think it was even cheap. It was cheaper expos as well, so people could easily get away with like a gold plus trash bow army, which is a bit harder now.
Yeah.
I think they might have overdone it a bit though with the new patch with the like how strong the Savar is, and they get Caravanserai as well.
I think it's probably a little bit too much. It just feels like they kind of had a niche before the DLC came out, like hybrid maps, still pretty good in team games as a pocket as well. The hybrid maps they always did kind of shine. That was the place where they could shine. But now, kind of feels like most maps are just going to be good and will have decent options.
They're probably gonna have to like take it somewhere.
Nerf and common.
Yeah.
In the next couple of months. Not sure where. Personally, I would like Savar to attack the same speed as a paladin. It just feels right because it's like a paladin replacement, and the paladin attacks like 0.1 seconds slower, which does make a big difference in that head-to-head fight. At least, at
Is
least
the
I'm thinking from
Savar
team
a
games.
real is the Savar a real problem in 1v1 though? It's cheaper than the Paladin upgrade, which sometimes deter people from going Paladin in 1v1. But at the same time, it's also like a very late game technology and unit. So if you have already lost by then, like it's not gonna save you magically.
I
So
think I've only seen it once.
Yeah, I don't.
yeah,
I think we could all agree that Savar is not necessarily the issue. It could be if the game gets there long enough, and it's probably more likely to get there with everything else that they now have going on. I think it's the kind of the crux of the issue.
yeah. We'll have to see how it develops in the next few months. Probably it's gonna be nerfed, at least slightly. It looks like the civ is really good at the moment, so that might warrant a nerf down the line.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
On the other end, so we have Persians, latest DLC having a rework, extremely good. Then we kind of go to the other end, Georgians and Armenians. Georgians sitting there at 45%, 5 out of 11, and Armenians played 10 times, only won 2 games.
Yeah. Not a stellar performance so far.
No, and like, I think a lot of people looked at Armenians, and they are getting played a decent amount, as like the economy should be really good with them, but their units are a little bit lacking, to say the least.
Yeah, I think that's the crux of the issue. On paper they had like a really strong economy, but
really good
on the other hand, they
monks.
don't have a lot of very strong options. Like the infantry is nothing special. Their siege is subpar.
Plus
Yeah,
30
Cavalry is
HP.
like
Plus 30
mediocre.
HP champion is such copium. It's like so
It's-
pointless.
Yeah, because it's still champions, and like there is a reason we don't see the sword line being played.
I have no idea why they added that. This doesn't make any sense to me.
But you know, they actually have the same siege as Magyars when they got released, with where they are.
Yeah,
with
but
what
like they
was
don't have
available.
access
So
to siege ram, siege onager,
Yeah,
Which like
exactly. And no
I'm
siege
pointing out
engineers.
siege because usually if you have like an infantry civ, you usually pair that with siege, and it gives you like a strong option in arena, for example,
Yeah.
or Black
I
Forest
wonder
team
how they.
games, and like this kind of thing. And the Armenians don't even shine there. Like they sure they can get halberdier in Castle Age, but that's super expensive. And yeah, so I don't know. I think it's probably a case of a civ that is not completely figured out yet. Uh,
And one,
if
That's
I don't
true.
know, like if players can make use of the mule cart and the economy and the monks.
yeah,
Uh,
and
I think the Doubt Valesa game showcased like
no,
the,
the barrels Nikov,
I'm
Castle
trying to
Age
think of
two-handed
that.
swordsman.
Oh, wasn't that wait Balsnikov? I'm trying to.
What was the
Wasn't
what was the
wasn't it
map?
on Northern
I
Isles?
think it was Northern Isles. Yeah, it was. It was game
Yes,
one,
that was a
and
that was
oh my god, that was something. That was something else.
yeah.
It was chaotic.
No,
Nikov had
but
forward docked on him,
but
and Barrows was also forward docked on Nikov's home island. It was a crazy one to see.
yeah. But what I wanted to say, I think the Doubt Valesa game showcased the Civ's problems. Like, great, Doubt got 6 relics. What's the follow up? Basically, that's how it played out.
Yeah.
Granted, Doubt did make some mistakes, but they do get into that. Like, they're really good at securing the relics. That's what I thought when before, and that's what I heard. Like a lot of people that did the reviews, like, oh, you have warrior priest, and they just like they trade really good against light cav even once you get all the upgrades, and you should get most of the relics most of the time at least. And like, oh, so you get there, but then it's again, what's the follow up, right? It's you just fall off in imp. There's no like you said, there's no bombard cannon, right? And that's I think maybe I might be wrong. I don't know, but maybe if they had bombard cannons, they might be a bit
I think
less
I think they'll get
meh.
I
In
think they might get the Dravidian treatment. Start with no bombard cannon. They'll end up getting, I think.
that is, yeah, I can see that being uh like a way to go with them.
Yeah, I just don't think they have
It,
enough in that late stage of the game. I mean, the unique unit is pretty nice if you have like some sort of meat shield for it, but it's still a bit flimsy because it's only got like 45 HP or whatever it is, and it doesn't have a lot of range either. So
yeah,
yeah, and of course, unique units are obviously not the easiest thing to go for anyway when you have to make multiple castles.
yeah.
But
It sounds strong on paper, but then it's like it's paper thin. It dies to mangonel super fast,
yeah,
and yeah, it's not a great archer either. You have better options.
yeah, okay, let's round this up on the group stage. One series to go back and watch. Tarsus.
So for me, it would be okay. I'm gonna say Barls against Nikov. I know we've talked a little bit about the Nolan Isles game, but I think the Arena and Atacama games, especially the Atacama game, was exceptional.
It was
Uh,
super good.
One
That
of the
was
best games I've
yeah.
seen of the tournament. So I wasn't super familiar with Barl's play style before this series. I knew he was like very solid. You know, he's made Red Bull. He was quarterfinalist in Titans League. But yeah, like this was this play with like Japanese and Atacama was super fun to watch, and yeah, a really great set. I think I thought Nikov was the favorite before that set, and obviously it didn't really go his way. But yeah, like I think it's there has been better sets, I think, but this is a great one to watch because they're not necessarily like the most two popular players, and it was super high level, super fun. So that would be my pick.
It's a good idea. Pick a series that's probably less likely to have been watched. I can dig that. Panda.
No,
One
I was gonna
series.
pick a series that everyone definitely saw. That was the Hero Doubt series. I was for me like had some really good games on it, and that's all I can say. Especially like that Land Madness that with Armenians. Not want to spoil too much with it, but
Yeah, and that's
I
round two, so
love
you'd have to go back in Mem's catalogue just a little bit, but it shouldn't be too far back. That was played in November 4, so probably uploaded the same day or November 5th. And then Barrels and Nikoff was November 7th, so that's probably going to be on the same day or the day after if you're trying to find them on particular channels. But yeah.
There was one game that I really. Oh yeah, if I can give it as a side note, a single game, Vivi against freaking Andy.
No,
in Black
dude, that was mine.
Forest. Oh.
All right, Paradox, what's your pick?
We edit this out.
Andy versus Vivi. That's one of the most stupid series I've seen in a while, man. The Atacama game was ridiculous. It's just like typical Vivi games. You're like, is he like, obviously he's trying to win, but it's like, what's going through your mind? And the Black Forest game was just ridiculous. And then the final game was also just like, is this Age of Empires? And I think there was a lot of purists out there that were perceiving, they were not happy with what they were watching. They're like, this isn't Age, guys. This is not what I signed up for.
So the set is very interesting to me as well, because it feels like it's like old school versus like new style. You know, like freaking Andy. He's one of the most recent top players. He qualified for Worlds, beating MBL 3-2, and he had good results in Titans League as well. And he's very famous for like being very fast, like villager micro, quick walls, etc. But also kind of like a Clunish, well, not really Clunish, but like he prefers closed maps. He's very good at booming and all that. And so he gets matched against this very chaotic player in VV that plays this very old style towers, etc. And I think that's probably like a bad matchup for him, to be honest, because like VV is very good at the same things as him, but also doesn't let him play his preferred style, probably. So yeah, that was also a great choice.
Yeah, Andy got like out Andy'd in that one because like Andy is like he's known as more as like a BF kind of player, and like his Vil micro is meant to be very good. And I'm not gonna like lie, or a lot of these games, Vil micro is very very important, which is just crazy to think about. But he did kind of just get outplayed of his own game. It kind of seemed like, and it's kind of funny because there's like two very different generation of players there, but have quite a lot of similarities, and ended up clashing.
Yeah,
it was a really good set. That
very good series. Okay, let's keep this moving. We'll have our first quiz question. So I'm going to be the quiz master, guys. Let me just pull up the section here. Massive thanks to Rbase for putting this together. And I think we're going to go for tech tree now. I don't want an answer straight away. You can maybe think out loud. And you can even try and put some wrong thoughts into the opponent's mind here. And it's going to be... It should be relatively simple. When I seen this question at first, I knew it straight away, because obviously I'm pretty smart. It's only the civilization can get elite battle elephants with heresy. I don't want an answer, but I'll give you guys one clue, and it's like, if you really think about it, it should be easy to work out.
Yeah, I think I know.
Pretty sure.
Oh, actually, no. There's like two options. I think I know which one, but you have to think about what civs get battle elephants.
Can you name all of them off the top of your head?
Civ. Yes. But you have to think about the civs that get good elephants and the civs that get good monk technologies. And there are like two only options, and so you have to know between those two.
I guess. Is there only two that have?
There's only two that have good monk techs.
I would say very good. Yeah, I would say very good.
All elephants.
Yeah, I would say that makes sense. So that's one for the viewers. We'll come back to that after we get past the talking points of Warlords 2. That's my clue, though. If you really think about it, guys, in terms of balance, there's really only one clear and obvious answer. Okay, let's move on to the talking points for Warlords 2 then. Quite a few big things. We have the Outpost-gate that went on, kind of map scripting discussion that's been ongoing. The patch that got used, of course, with the Georgians' potential bugs, the pathing, the viewer count, and we had a bit of an update from Mem today about the kind of financials of tournament hosting and the kind of pressures that go with it. So I think we will kick it off with Outpost-gate to start off. Tarzus, do you maybe want to have a quick rundown of what kind of happened and tell us a spell?
Yeah. So what happened was that in his set against Mr. Yo on the first game, the Gold Rush game, Hera towards the end of the game. So Yo had tried to push Hera. Hera defended, and then he had the upper hand, had the better economy. And so he was pushing Mr. Yo's base, and to get visibility, he started building some outposts in Mr. Yo's base. And that there was a few outposts that were close to one another. And so some people and some casters, I think, said that this could be associated with outpost rushing. And what we mean by outpost rushing, if there's anyone that's not aware of that, is building outposts, many outposts in front of, like directly in your opponent's base, and those outposts don't really serve any purpose, and it's considered like bad manners, and just essentially telling your opponent that, okay, they have lost, they should resign now.
The game is over.
Yeah, essentially. And this came under scrutiny because a few months ago, Hera did that in T90's Titan League against freaking Andy, and that was with the intention of outpost rushing, of being BM, and eventually lost that game. However,
which was hilarious, obviously, for a lot of reasons. Like when you do something like that, you have egg on your face, and I think even in the end, Hera was laughing at himself a bit as well, and he got the last laugh of the tournament result anyway, so he wasn't overly fussed.
Exactly, eventually he won and everything, but he came under scrutiny because he had this history of doing that, and then there was some reaction on Twitch. Some people were saying, "Oh yeah, like you shouldn't do that," but I think Hera defended himself on his set against Yo, saying that there was no intention of outpost rushing. It was just like he's playing fast, and he built like a couple of them, and he was a little bit sick about this narrative of trying to paint him as the bad guy, and so on.
Yeah, and I think, see, if Hera was really trying to outpost rush in this game, he's doing a really bad job of it, because like they are like split apart.
Yeah.
And do you know for me what's a good outpost rush? Is the fact that you stack them like side by side. If I want to see someone outpost rushing, I want to see like 4 or 5 of them right next to each other. Like be making a point. And if you're really BM, you'll be spelling things out with them.
Yeah, and like you were saying, outposts give you great visibility, and it's important to have those to get for like microing purposes, to see what your opponent is doing, that, and the fact that Hera is one of the fastest players in the scene. But like also like when Hera plays, like you have some players that they don't appear to be fast, but they are very effective with their clicking. And Hera might be like a little bit of the other hand of the spectrum. Obviously, he's super effective, but he's also so fast that sometimes there might be like some
inaccuracies, or you have to fix mistakes.
Yeah. So like he wants to build outposts, but he has to do a million things at the same time. So he builds like 3 of them. They happen to be close to one another, but that's not outpost rushing. I don't think there was an intention on his part.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I agree. And the problem with outposts are they're incredibly flimsy. You can blow and they will fall over. They'll fall over. They just don't have any HP and they will die very quickly. So why would you make more than one? That's a major reason why. And they're very cheap. They cost next to nothing. So why would you not make 3 of them or 4 of
For
them
sure.
in different positions. But I think there's definitely a large portion of people who are part of the community that are ready to jump. And not just in Hera, I think other members of the community as well, and be like, let them know that they've done something wrong, even when they probably haven't. And I think that was kind of a case in point in this one. There was a bit of reaction from Hera as well. He went to Viper stream, and loads of people were like atting him there, which was kind of inappropriate as well. It wasn't nice.
I think that's actually what spurred the discussion on Twitter, because Hera was coming to Viper stream after that.
Like with a couple of people tagging him, and then like, guys, can I say quote unquote, like having a go at him, and then he just like, no, like it's not. I'm gonna say it's not right to do that. Like, you can there's times we can call out someone for stuff, but like that was like just very low effort, trying to
very unnecessary. Yeah, it was just
that as well. And
let's be honest, there's nothing ever good comes from Twitch chat.
That's why I really interact there.
I mean, I interact and I definitely lean into it, but I'm definitely prepared to admit that nothing really comes good from it. So
yeah, it's tricky because like he comes into the chat and he just wants to talk to Viper, like make some comment about the cast and everything, react about the games. And then the first thing he sees coming into the chat is like 3 people tagging him saying like don't outpost rush, and it's like it's also difficult to
not react,
to close yourself off from that. Like because like it's gonna be bright red in your screen, some people taking you and telling you not to BM or everything. So I can definitely understand the frustration, because like there was no intention on his part and everything, and yeah, it detracts from the game as well.
For sure. Okay, I've got a screenshot of Viper up the next day after, and if anyone's confused about what an outpost rush looks like, guys, that is what an outpost rush looks like. Those outposts are stacked together, and as Hera says in the tweet, or whatever it's called now, context MBL is your important at Viper TV. It's obviously a joke between 2 players. It's still not the right thing you would do in a tournament. If you were going to do it seriously, it's probably going to land you in a little bit of a hot water, to say the least. But let's move on from Outpost-gate anyway, because we've got other things to go through. Let's talk a little bit about the map scripts. And unfortunately, Nikov has been on the receiving end of a couple that have maybe been not so great. Obviously, we have a very big map pool, 21 maps, which isn't... It's probably harder. So for clarification, Cruzini does the maps for Forgotten Empires as well, and he's one of the admins for Mem, and he'll do most of the map script and stuff for Mem. When you have so many maps, it's really hard to pick up every kind of like inefficiency or inaccuracy of resources spawning the way they're intended. It's a lot of work to go through. And the 2 biggest ones was the arena with the relics spawning and the wood in the middle for Atacama. So maybe we'll just start on the arena one here, and I have the image up. And I guess, Panda, you can explain a little bit about the relics and why they're so difficult to spawn correctly.
I wish I understood relics.
So my understanding is that relics and map scripting, it really just doesn't work. It's really difficult to get them to spawn in the right places.
It's so weird. I remember I was once making a map, and I literally copied the stuff from the Runestone script, because I was before we had the current Arabia, what you have, which is also made by Cruzini. And like that was the first, that Runestone's map was the first one to basically do the current kind of split we have in 1v1. We have 2 relics for each player and then 1 in the middle. I copied the exact same thing from that, and changed the variables to be relevant to my map, and they didn't spawn where they should, and I was so confused. And I've tried so many times, I've actually given up. That's how I feel with relics, and it's very hard. That's all I know. It's
I do know that it got fixed after this one, and I think they maybe have like some sort of like you can put pointers in the script, right, where things can generate exactly. So I think there's less like kind of variance and randomness to it, but you kind of like know where they'll be. But the game issue was like there was like 3 relics right next to the opponent's base, which was just not ideal. It was like almost being a relic down easily, and then there wasn't really any that was easy for Nikov to take. Let's put it that way, which is really not ideal.
I think you only got one that game, right?
Yeah, and when all of the arena games, or most of the arena games, are going to have some sort of like light cav or relic control play to them, it's very difficult to manage, to say the least.
Because you kind of have to invest more than just to deny your opponent that has easy access to it, and that means you can't add eco as fast, so you should then in theory be always behind.
Yeah. And Arena, that one did get fixed, but Atacama, on the other hand, did have some issues for Nikov, and that's actually going back to the series that Tarz recommended, was the Barrels game. And I've got the screenshot up here, and you can kind of see, or if you can remember it, Barrels essentially had an opening to the wood in the middle, which gives you obviously a big advantage in terms of being able to tower. And Nikov couldn't get into the middle, and he had like a bigger line, so he could obviously go along this big wooded area a lot more from left to right, but he couldn't get really inside there, which doesn't feel right.
It's super tricky, this one. I feel like because sometimes obviously units can't walk through wood lines, and it takes a lot of time to chop through. So in a game where the center control for access to wood is so paramount, it can lead to like unfair generation, where one player can build one tower directly on the opponent's wood line, and the other one would need like to walk around or across, and it takes a lot longer, or sometimes it's just not possible, and sometimes you have like an easier wall off as well. So yeah, like it can lead to unfair or like unequal fighting chances in the center that can later on snowball the rest of the game. And I think the set that you talked about, Andy against Vivi, Andy also complained about the map in this set. So
had something similar.
I don't remember how the map looked like in that particular set, but it seems to be fairly common that there are issues with the wood generation on Atacama. And the key thing here is that for player like us, it would not matter. But at this high level, where tiny differences can mean winning or losing, it is something that can be important.
And this was part of the conversation from Nikov's standpoint was, okay, why are other players getting a restart, namely Doubt, for one game where you had a gold that didn't spawn in the correct spot? So yes, it was bugged, and it wasn't where it was meant to be. It was a lot further away. I think it was enclosed, if I remember right. I don't know if you guys... It was enclosed. But then Nikov saying, well, why am I getting a restart when the wood clearly isn't meant to generate? Or like, when the wood's generating, but it's generated in a way that's extremely unfair towards me. And it's a very difficult one to manage, because if we had to do restarts every time wood didn't generate right, we'd be restarting games a lot, and it's obviously not good in terms of like the hosting and for the viewer experience. It's not what you want to be doing. Like, restarts would probably be, I don't want to say a last resort, you should be doing it if it's fair anyway, but it's probably not something that Mem's going to be jumping to do for multiple reasons.
Yeah, it's all a trade-off. Like, so there's like two aspects there. I think like the restart problem, it causes delays, especially the games are all live. Mem has both players on webcam, so like every restart will cause delay. It will slow down the spectacle and everything. And the second thing is also how do you judge whether a map is fair? Uh, like one play, like even if you take two pro players, they might have a different opinion of whether a map is playable or not, whether it's fair or not. And so, like I guess you can also modify the map script so it tries to generate even more fairly, but then that generally also means a decrease in the randomness of the map,
Yeah.
and that's also one of the key core elements of Age of Empires that we are playing random maps. So yeah,
It's
very difficult to find the right balance in all that,
exactly. It's
I
a whole
think.
can of worms there. It's very difficult. When we were doing the maps for Nations Cup earlier in the year with T West is like the goal that I want to have is we don't have any restarts based off of the map script. And I was like, man, that's a high goal to set. And I was like, it's probably the mindset you need as a scripter.
Yeah, that is.
It's a good one to have, but then you also have the other side. Tarza just says you're probably going to make it a lot more predictable and less randomness. So it's finding the mix of both.
So like the question I would have, and maybe Panda, you can you've talked a little bit about that, but maybe you can chime in. Do you think the scripting language that is used currently to make those random map in Age of Empires is too restrictive? Do you think like it could be improved so that the generation of maps and how people are coding how the maps are supposed to spawn? Uh, do you think there could be improvements to make it easier for scripters to generate fair maps? I'm not really sure.
I'm not the most knowledgeable about this, but I think like there could always be, more things like being done to it. Like this is one feature which always is like, like for I don't know how much you know about map scripts, but you get this one line called when with your objects, which would be like your villages, your town centers, your
Yeah.
balls, those things like set for every player. I wish there was something like that for terrains as well, and then you can make it the same kind of the same thing and spawn wood lines easier, because currently you have to do like, depending on how crazy you want to go, you sometimes need like 10 lines just to make sure players spawn with fair amount of forest, and then
Yeah.
you have 8 players, so that's 80 lines, and then you have to add 3 or 4 more extras of that to make sure that it guarantees to generate, because sometimes the game just doesn't generate one of those
Yeah, to
those
me, it was
sections.
very complicated. Like the way the scripting language works is kind of you describe the way the elements are supposed to spawn, and you say, okay, like I want 60% of wood in that, but you don't have fine control over how the way the things are gonna spawn, and so
Yeah,
it makes
it's
it very tricky.
it
It's
is
definitely
tricky. It's a bit like, I want to say it's a bit like painting. You both saw that like mock Arthur Karma I made, right?
Yeah.
And so that was basically like like I did a painting. I made the middle terrain, and then I painted water, which has its own property where it can spawn away from land terrain. So then it spawns. I think I made that like 5 tiles away from any land terrain. So from the outside of the map, it'll spawn 5 tiles to the middle. And then I just painted that with forest again, and then I repeated the process a couple of times just to make sure that it's spawned. It's just like it becomes a lot of like repeating the same stuff over and over again, which is not ideal. And I would say, and I mean it, but it's also like that allows for that randomness, right? With with how it works currently, and then that's ultimately what it's supposed to be, a random map script. people
Yeah,
complain a lot about
exactly.
maps that are the same. Like we watch Foyden Cup with like Bay and Cup itself. We've seen it for 3 tournaments there already, and then what was the other one?
High
Right.
tide.
Slopes. That
Oh my
was the big
god,
one.
I hate that map.
The one.
I hate that damn map. Watching
I mean, a lot
watching
of
Indians and Mongols every game, I was like, bleh.
Yeah, basically, like it's always the same map, right? You don't want that. Like, I think there's a place for those maps, like having 1 or 2 maybe, but I'm not really a fan of those maps. I say my only famous map I ever made is actually one of those where it's like always the same stuff.
with
But
a fixed position. Yeah.
yeah, but but in the end, like I think you just try your best and make sure like you follow if you follow the basics of avoiding certain things and with your objects at least, then those will always spawn 99% of the time. Which actually that's something that I'll give credit to DE2. Like how often in the last now 4 years, actually D is 4 years and 1 day old today. I'm looking at the date.
Yeah. It was the birthday yesterday, I believe.
Yeah. And so is if Tarsus will remember like back on Uglie, how often you'd have a restart bug gold.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it spawned in a forest and then we start again. Oh no, there's a bug stone this time. We restart. Oh, there's sheep trapped inside a pond inside a forest. We don't have that anymore, which is great. But yeah, maybe they could work more. I'm not the expert in what they needs. There's more talented
Yeah.
map scripters
But
than
I
me.
wonder if maybe that could be like an option going forward in the future, that like I don't know, like top map makers like President T West, etc. would come to the devs and say, hey, it would be great if we could have this feature, that other feature in random map scripting that would make their life easier to create fair and balanced tournament maps. And yeah, I don't know.
It could be a bigger push from the map scripting side, because like I definitely well, 90% sure that a couple of them that are like also in the balance group discussion where like so they do have their inputs with devs,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe a bit more could be done on that side.
And
Because I remember a couple of years ago, there was also like a doc that Hank the Super Nerd made, where it's like feature requests and stuff to take to the devs, and but it also got like lost with time. And
there's a lot of
I don't
things
know how
to.
much of it got in. Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of things that people ask, right? Or
Exactly.
what they want, and so not everything can be done. And I think Zetnas himself asked, like, if there's anything you guys want for map scripting, give it to me, and I can try and pass it on to the devs. He said, and I don't think many people gave him stuff. It was like 1 or 2 things, but yeah, it'd be nice if there's more things. Because at the moment, only things we are getting is each time, like with the modding, some of the things that gets added are the like new resources or attributes, kind of, which is a bit more a bit more in depth about the game. We can like change the attack rate or stuff like that. We can like that's basically at the moment the best we are getting that we can play with, and you don't want to change balance necessarily, right?
Yeah.
So you skip those things most of the time.
I think as we round up the scripting, the quality of maps has improved a lot over the years. So I think
100%.
you also just need to look at the bigger picture as well. It's a WIP, it's a work in progress. So let's see where we'll be in 6 months, a year's time. Hopefully things will continue to improve. I think one of the biggest issues is actually having, I don't know how much people like the scripters talk to each other and share what they're doing on a certain map. We always have like different tournament maps for different tournaments. They're all being done by different people, so it's I don't know what the solution to that would be, is getting everybody on the same page, but the maps don't get updated, like all the time in game as well. So there's a lot of there's maybe potentially someone doing like a really good script and it only getting used like on the one tournament and then kind of getting like forgotten about because like the tournament just happens. That's just like a flash in the pan. It just happens at that one time, and then it maybe doesn't get used again unless like somebody knows about it and then can like bring it to somewhere else. It's tricky.
I think also something you slightly touched on when you did the intro to this section is it's a lot of maps for one person, right?
Oh, it's 100%. For this tournament, it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
And the same is for the upcoming 2v2 tournaments, also 21 maps, and it's only T-West working on it. I think somehow, I know you have to pay people, which might make it difficult, but if we could, like, maybe in the future, especially when it's big map pools, to somehow have 2 or 3 people maybe working, then just like lowering the burden of one person, it could be a good.
This is tricky as well because then people don't necessarily have the same
workflow.
And you want to make sure that there is some kind of unity towards the map as well. So like,
that is
but
also
it would probably like I guess they would be able to work together and all that. And yeah, it's like
in a sense also goes with there's no official like standardization for tournaments. Like the handbooks are always the same, so the same thing happens with map scripts. So everyone has their own way of doing things, which I get that's also
I don't want people to get the idea that we're criticizing map makers. Like
no.
They're making like a great job, and it's super. It's like a lot of pressure, and like I think we remember maps like we remember the few map generations that appear unfair a lot more than the many generations that are completely fair.
Just we as humans just have this negative bias. We're much more likely to remember the bad things than the good things. So we see that nearly almost every tournament.
Yeah.
We'll always remember the bad ones. We're like, damn, that was unlucky. But alas, talking about other things that are going on in the game, let's move on to the patch that's getting played. Obviously, the civs have been included as well. We kind of touched on that before. I guess just a real simple question and a real simple answer. Should a tournament have been played on a new patch? What do we think? The pause means we're thinking about it, so that's good. That is good. We're thinking about it.
Yeah. So my reasons for saying yes to this is because it's a lot of work to get back to the previous patches. You need to have all the players and all the casters roll back one version.
Especially with the DLC as well, so it's a lot more stuff you're downloading and switching between patches.
100%. And then when the players are not playing in the tournaments, you want them to be able to be active on the ladder and train with their, well, when they're training, they're probably on the older patch. So it's a lot of logistics to roll back a patch and have everyone play their games and all that. So I think when possible, we should be playing on the new patch, like the most up-to-date patch for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's also more relatable. Like if the players, every player that's playing the game, they're playing their games and then they watch the tournament and they can relate to the units that like the balance that they see on the screen. Obviously, there's not massive differences of balance between patches, but it's still good. And you don't need the caster to say, "Oh yeah, like by the way, we're playing on the old patch,
so it's different balance."
This and that.
Yeah, you have to explain it all.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be a bit
think
tiresome.
For those reasons, it's generally better to play on the most up-to-date version. The issue arises when we have a patch that is that introduces bugs and that can be more or less game breaking. So we had the relic bug. Obviously, it's not going to be abused by the players, but it could also happen unwillingly. I think it's probably like a low chance, but still. And then pathing issues and all that. That also.
So all of the points related to the logistics and the production, I 100% agree. Now here's a but. Does that supersede the kind of like the fairness of the game functioning in the way it's meant to? And talking about let's just use the Manaspa as an example. So the Manaspa are currently bugged. They're doing way too much damage to buildings. And we've seen that in one of the games where barrels went for Manaspa and ate a TC within a matter of seconds. So we have one kind of like bugged feature with the relics. We're saying, okay, we can't use that. But we then have a unique unit that's also bugged, and we're saying, yeah, that's fine. And then to go a little bit deeper, we have some games. I mean, we can see it almost in every game. The pathfinding is probably one of the worst states has ever been. We have a lot of armies that are moving forwards to then move backwards. And if there's the land nomad game, which I remember specifically with Weary versus Viper. And Weary like out micros this onager like so good. With this ball of arbs, they've got them split up, maybe one or two of them, and then like 2 minutes later, the arbs pathed forwards, and they get splatted. So he had like this really good like 10-15 seconds, and then 2 minutes later, he tries to go backwards. The arbs move a different direction, and he's like, "Damn it, that's not ideal."
I think the pathing might also explain why Byzantines are so successful on war maps at the moment. Since it's more difficult to micro underwater because the ships are so unresponsive and bugging out so much. Like fire ships feel buffed because of that potentially.
I can see that.
So, but yeah.
The galleons are doing the war galley line is getting stuck on some like shorelines and whatnot, and it's, man, I don't know if anyone's played with it and noticed it, but it's super frustrating when you're there, and then the regroups are kind of the same, ships moving forwards then go backwards. It's, and for me, the argument just comes down to, is it what's the priority here? Is it going to be the players, or is it going to be like the production? And I know that's very black and white, and there's some grey there, but it's a very difficult choice. But great power comes with great responsibility.
I mean, if you, it's not purely the players, because like the players probably also don't want to go through changing patches all the time, to go between versions. But yeah, like I completely get your point. I guess the key with the new and improved pathing is that it affects everyone equally. So
it's funny.
So it's bugged for everyone. It's shit for everyone. Then obviously, if you think about player styles, probably a player like Leary, who relies on consistently winning fights because he has better micro than everyone else, is going to be affected more than players who play a more macro, control their unit type of game. So I don't know. It's a tricky problem, for sure. I can see advantages and drawbacks on both sides. Obviously, what would be ideal would be truly improved pathing, but it's been 4 years and we're still waiting.
The best solution is we actually just need to get good pathfinding, and like anytime we get a DLC or a new patch, and not have to live in fear that the game is going to turn to complete and utter shit. Which, and I'm not saying like the devs aren't like trying to make things good or whatnot, they're not trying really hard, but it's like, oh man, it's really frustrating whenever we get a DLC or a big patch and it's like, this game is probably not going to work as it did beforehand, or something new is going to come up, and it's like, it's frustrating as a player It's frustrating as someone in the community. It's frustrating as a viewer as well. So
Yeah.
like I don't know what the solution is for them. Like if there's like some sort of improvements in workflow or whatnot they can do, but there's got to be.
And as for the Monaspa, I would think I think actually banning Georgians at the moment might be like the fairest solution, because this is independent of the pathing and the relic bug, and so and also it's not something that affects both players. It will only affect the player who is playing the Georgians. And actually, we've seen Georgians played a couple times in the latest rounds. Like you said, Balls won against Hera on Gold Rush. Vivi lost against Vilese on Gold Rush, but also could delete a few TCs with his Morespa.
Mhm.
So the unit is seeing more playtime, and it would be very unfortunate if one of the key, like maybe like a decider game in the quarterfinals was decided because of this bug. That would suck.
That would suck
So
big time. That would feel really bad for whoever's on the receiving
yeah,
end. I just want to like touch very, very quickly. On the Civ draft, they have multiple bans that both players can use. I think it's like is it 4 each? So there is enough opportunity there for a player to say, okay, that Civ is I don't want to play against that Civ. That's the whole point of bans, right? But then it kind
yeah,
of you also don't want to force players to feel like they have to use a ban in a certain Civ because something is bugged and shouldn't be performing in the way that it is.
yeah.
So it's difficult. It's a tricky situation.
I think just at least at the moment, with people also exploring the new cut mechanic, the Civ might not be as strong, so the unit being bugged isn't enough to make up for the Civ's lack of strength, so to say. And that's why, at least at the moment, they just allow players to use it and not like straight up banning the unit. Because like you could in theory say like, okay, you're not allowed to create the Monaspa, and then but then I don't think anyone's gonna play the Civ. And I think
Yeah.
also players don't think the Civ is that good, because if you look where they've only been banned 8 times and picked 16 times, right? So it's not as if they've seen that much. Although 16 picks is like 16 drafts is quite a few, but
Mm-hmm.
they're not they're not causing like at least concerns like, oh, there's units like just straight up winning the game
Yeah, yeah.
because it exists. So it's okay. You can overlook the bug a bit maybe, and
I think I
and
think it's kind of
hope
like the
now.
players maybe doing the learning curve as well. Sorry, just because it's a new Civ, players are
Yeah,
probably still potentially working them out and not being able to use them fully. But let's say the Monaspa don't get fixed and it's 2 months down the line, or even next month, and we're about to qualify for NEC and it's not been fixed and it's going to be allowed. Then I could see it being a little bit more problematic when people are a lot more comfortable using the Civ.
yeah. And yeah, there could be a ban on it. I remember it was NAC 3 where Nelly just straight up said Mongols is banned on Valley. I don't know if you
Sorry,
guys
was Golf's
remember.
not banned in one of the NECs as
No,
well?
no. There
Koreans were
was
banned in NAC2 qualifiers, I'm pretty sure.
I'm
Because
sure
at
Goths were
that
banned for
point,
something. I'm trying to remember what though.
there were talks about banning gods for uh, one of the hidden cups. That was right. That was when they got like basically free loom, but I think it got changed very shortly to what it is now. Like they just started with free loom, if I remember. At one stage, you're always a villager ahead. You
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to, and like ahead on the gold now, you're just like it researches instantly. There was like, and it was like for a month or so, it was a bit meta, but there was, I think there were talks about them potentially being like banned during that tournament, and then that got changed and got continued. But maybe they were. I can't.
I'm trying to remember,
It's a
but
long time ago.
I'm not entirely sure. I need to look it up. Let's keep it moving. So we'll quick touch on viewers. Obviously, we have T90 and Viper back on to Twitch. Don't want to spend too long on this one, but viewer numbers are looking pretty healthy. Even Dave's still kind of averaging around 2k-ish for those kind of tournament casts. Viper's done some of the Warlords, but it's done a lot of just ladder work as well. T90's done a couple of them now, but their viewer numbers on average in streams are kind of hitting around that 5k mark, in between the 4 and the 5, which is fantastic, of course. But everyone kind of seems to be doing pretty well. There's maybe just been some viewers that have lost from the, I don't want to say smaller streams, but certainly like creators on the smaller side, maybe like an Ornley's, maybe not having like the 300, maybe down to like the 150 now. So a little bit of those viewers have probably filtered out. Mem with a video onto YouTube today, and title of it is Mem Thoughts About Warlords and Concerns. Last MembTV event, question mark, question mark, question mark. Whether that is clickbait or not, that is up for you to decide. But Mem in the video just kind of touching on, well, obviously the tournament as a whole, the kind of finances and the pressures involved with hosting a tournament. And it was kind of, to me, it was honestly kind of a tough watch, because he kind of touches about the finances and having to fund admins and whatnot. And as far as I know, with Mem, or just like with any Microsoft event, you get given a budget, and it's up to you how you want to spend that budget. And Mem always puts the budget to the prize pool. So anything like production, the admins, it's all the risk is fronted by him. So you can kind of have an argument. It's kind of unnecessary and doesn't need to do that when he's given the budget. But it's obviously a guy that cares deeply about the community and wants to put the money towards the players. So it's a very, very tricky situation.
Yeah, it hit me in the video when he says that after an event, he was like, every time he hosts an event, he's hoping for the event to have like a positive impact on his channel, like getting some growth out of the event, and that the actual result is the opposite, because people are expecting the quality of the production and everything from an event to become the standard. And so when they come to his channel after an event where he's just like stream, that's, he didn't say that, but that's what I'm guessing he meant by that, is that when they come to the channel after an event where it's just like normal games and all that, they don't they're not converted it into regular viewers of the channel, because they have come to expect that quality. And yeah, that's a problem, because you can't expect to have like even production quality for every stream. And even the content is, it's not gonna be like high level games between players with the webcams all the time and everything. So yeah, it's difficult. And it's also a props to him for putting all the prize pool, all the Microsoft money towards the prize pool. I wonder if maybe, so like, I don't know, like being more transparent about the costs and where every dollar given by Microsoft goes could justify, I don't know, like using more of that Microsoft budget towards him and his admins. It's very tricky.
Yeah, and so just for like a comparison, like NEC is an offline event and the costs are just astronomical, but that is something like the Nelly has done. He typically makes a document that kind of like outlines all the costs and whatnot, so somebody can just go on and see like, oh, like how much is Nelly budgeting for this or that, and why is the event going to be as much as this, which is nearly like $250,000 or something, whatever it is, 250,000. I think it's at least that. It's a lot of money that Nelly's budgeted for, which is just insane. And but obviously they don't have that much cost for an online event where you're the main thing is, of course, you need to get the graphics, you need to get the production right, you need to pay for the admins. The admins probably aren't even getting paid what they should be, and I don't mean in a bad way. I mean in a way that they're probably not taking as much money as they should be, because I know most admins do that. There is a whole meme that Robo was only getting paid a few dollars an hour, and because he's
not a meme, it's the truth.
I mean, because he wasn't wanting to take like all that money, you know, he's just wanting to get enough.
Yeah, because for a lot of these guys, it's also a passion project.
Exactly.
So they're willing to work for less money than they would deserve, and yeah,
they're willing to go above and beyond.
It's not a fully professional scene, and yeah.
Yeah, it's.
But what I'm thinking is like, if you are fully transparent about all the costs and where the money will go, it will make it more acceptable or accepted by the greater audience to see, okay, like he's taking a little bit of the price to go towards the admins and the cost of the tournament and not to the players. But that's understandable. We don't want him to be taking all this cost upfront for him.
And taking all the risk, you know? Like, he does have a donation goal and whatnot, which is absolutely fine, but he has the risk at the end of the day. There's no guarantee that that donation money is going to come in, so it's not... I wouldn't have any problem with him taking $10,000 off the prize pool, but he probably feels bad doing it. So he probably feels guilted into doing it.
I think he said so a couple times on stream. This was like before King of the Days that he actually did take 10,000 from last year's Warlords that he got, that he did put into production cost. I think that's fine. If I remember correctly, because those were always stated in the Hidden Cup stuff, like T90 takes 15,000 of what he got given by Microsoft, and this is where it's going. And then he spreads it between all the map scripters and some of his moderators that are there full time. Guy who does the whole prediction website for him and like all those things. And I think it is reasonable. Maybe potentially from Microsoft's side, they could try a bit more to help streamers cover production costs, because
or just make it a thing. Just tell them you have to pay them. Like, just take this. Just say this is part of your budget, and that's allowed for that. I mean, obviously, there's maybe going to be different hourly constraints for like different admins and how long the event goes, but there should probably be a little bit more guidance there instead of just saying like, here's a big pot of money, go and spend on whatever you like and however you like.
Obviously, when you get only $10,000 from them, it's a bit hard to get from there. But I also think now at $10,000,
you don't see a lot of them.
Yeah, I think this year from Microsoft's side was only Rage Forest that got in that ballpark. Everything has been higher. I might be wrong. I'm trying to remember.
I think you're right with that one.
Oh, Masters of Arena. But it's still like that might make it a bit hard. But yeah, it's a tough one. But I don't know if this touches on this. I feel like a marketing thing side is also a bit lacking potentially, especially from Microsoft.
Just from a Microsoft standpoint of like having advertisements in the game or through Steam.
Even tweets about it. Right?
Yeah,
like, we used to see quite a bit of that. Like they tweet, "Oh, today these are the matchups for King of the Desert," and now we don't see those anymore. And those are that's also, I think it's a big driver in a way, because especially like you're the biggest sponsor here. You'd think you'd advertise what you're sponsoring a bit more, but in the end, everyone has different goals, I guess.
It's very, very hands-offy, which always confuses me. I don't know how it's going to be the next couple of months, 6 months down the line, or a year down the line, but we'll see. Let's move on. Let's get on to our next little transition. We'll be doing the Warlords II predictions for the last date between the three of us. But let's have a quick look at our quiz question. It was only the civilization can get elite battle elephants with heresy. So Tarsus Sphinxes narrowed it down to 2. Tarsus, what 2 do you think they are? And
Well, okay, so it's a battle elephant civilization, so it has to be one of the Rise of the Raja civilization. But then you think about heresy. Heresy is like a very strong monk tech and everything. So I'm thinking it has to be either the Burmese or the Malay, because Khmer and Vietnamese have shit monk techs. Then, like you said, only one of those two options makes sense. So do you want me to
I
go forward with my thinking?
I want to see if Panda has anything else to add to that, because there's one there's one glaring thing you've not thought about.
Yes. the Dynasties of India DLC added another civ with elephants and a good monk deck tree.
See, that's the one I was
really?
thinking of. Yeah.
Galis. Yeah.
So
But they
Okay.
only have extra resistance to conversions. But it is Malay. That's the
Yeah,
only
that's
civ.
the Malay. That was my choice because also like I don't really know about those new elephant civs, but out of Malay and Burmese have very strong elephants. So
and
if
Malay
you
ones are very weak, right?
keep
So
them
they only get the
heresy,
first
yeah,
armor. So
exactly.
it makes a lot of
Only get the
sense.
first armor.
You're
Yeah.
gonna get heresy. And heresy, if you don't know, is the civ that's gonna the tech you can research in the monastery. And once your elephant gets converted, it will kill it, so it won't go over to the other side. So it would be very bad if you're playing up against the civs that are very good elephants, and they got heresy, and you didn't get that part of their army over. My goodness, could you imagine? Okay, we'll have a bonus question just now. We have to think about it, and we'll come back to that in a little while. And this is a tough one, guys. And same as last time, just try and think about it. You can maybe think it loud. You might need to actually confer together on this one. It's neither Castle Age mining technology is available to the civilization. So for clarity, that's gold shaft mining, stone shaft mining, the Castle Age technology.
So it's a civ that has neither of those.
Neither. Yep.
Oh.
Okay.
And I think you're gonna need the time to think about that one.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I never get those texts, so every sub for me.
Yeah, I just picked Bohemians and forget about it.
Easy.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to our Warlords 2 predictions. You can think about the quiz answer and go and cheat on the Age of Empires Wikipedia. We are gonna quickly just bring up the predictions. We're gonna start with you, Tarsus. Who, as you can probably see on the screen at this moment, thought the first round of the last 8 was best of 5 and was very lazy in correcting it all. So we get some numbers scored out here. So let's just run through the first little bit of results in. So he's got Gio to beat Jordan 4-1, Hera to beat Weary 4-2, Viper to beat Velez 4-0. Velez, the one that's usually the Viper killer, which to me that was kind of bold. But, and then Tato 4-1 over Sato. I think it's fair to say there's nothing overly surprising here. It's just going to be a matter of like trying to get the correct score. But maybe the biggest one to talk about is Weary and Hera, who are now facing off because Yo did steal Hera's seed.
Yeah. And technically it's the only upset that I predicted, because Lyri is seed 4 and Hera is seed 5, I think, something like that.
I think that's right.
And usually Lyri against Hera, I think Lyri and versus Hera might be like the defining rivalry of the Definitive Edition era. It usually goes to the final game, and it's always very, very close series. They're probably the fastest 2 players in the scene, and they have some stylistic differences. Like I think Lyri is more of an aggressive player. Hera is probably the best defender player in the game.
Yeah, I would agree.
But recently I feel like Lyri has fallen a little bit. I think the last time they played was probably 1080 Titans League, and Hera won 3-0. That was probably the only time they haven't had like a series going to the last game in like a long time. I think I could be wrong, but I think it's because Leary is now working full time, something like that. Yeah. Anyway.
That is what I heard. He's now working full time. Yeah. So if you're working full time, you're just not dedicating as much time to the other, the other people that we've got in this last 8. Nearly all of them are. We got Jordan back to full time work, and we talked about him being really surprised to be getting into the last 8. But all of them pretty much are. I guess Jordan, Weary, and Velez. Everyone else is.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. So yeah, so I see Hera go through. I think it's definitely gonna be the most interesting series of this round. I see Hera go through. Initially, I thought the series would go the distance, but if it's best of 7, I think like 4-2 is fine. We'll see. I'm hoping for a 4-3, and usually it's such an amazing matchup to watch.
Yeah. I can see 4-3 easily happening there. And then we got the semi-finals. We got Yo versus Hera. Yo obviously beaten in the group stage. You got Hera winning 4-2 this time. Okay. And we got the GL battle on the south side. That's Viper versus Tanto. You're going 4-3 to Tito.
Yeah. So those two, I think those two is really hard to predict. I give the edge to Taro because he won the Warlords waiting room, a tournament that was organized by Tazva and sponsored by one of his viewers, I think. And so Taro won the final against Viper on that one, and I think he's like in really good shape. But I think Viper has looked really good so far as well, so I can really see that set go either way. Historically, I think Viper has always had Taro's number, but in recent times, Taro has scored some big wins against Viper, so I think that's definitely possible for him. I think Viper is probably the favorite there, but I voted Taro so that my prediction would have like one bold prediction, quote unquote.
Why stop at 1?
Well,
wait do you see mine?
Yeah. And then on the other side, Yo against Hera. Again, like this time, big difference in style. Yo looked amazing in the group stage, even won against Hera. But usually, I think Hera matches very well against Yo, and I think Hera will learn from his initial defeat more than Yo will. And so Hera will be able to adapt to the loss in the group stage and come back in the eliminations phase. So I see Hera win this one.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest question is like, is Yo saved anything for like getting to the stage of the tournament, and how is like Hera gonna respond to like the earlier rounds and adapt? Because Hera's even said himself he feels like he's not playing at his best. Now, it might just be a matter of him playing that down a little bit to kind of lower the expectations, not just for himself but viewers as well. But we'll see. We will see. And then we've got Hera Tato in the final, and you actually went best of 9. Keep in mind, don't see them too often now. But Hera winning 5-2, so Tato only taking 2 games.
Yeah, I could see like a 5-3. I think Hera is probably Tato's worst opponent in recent years. He did win a very important set against him in the semifinals of Red Bull World Legacy, I think, which he won against Leary in the final. And that was his first win against Hera in like, I don't know, like 15 matches or something like that. It's a crazy one-sided rivalry. And yeah, so actually he won RMS Cup 2, and before that he had lost he had lost 14 in a row before that.
Yeah.
And so he won RMS Cup 2, Red Bull Legacy, and then he lost another 5 matches against Hera. Most recently 11-6 during the Champions Invitational. So I think Hera just counters Stato style very, very well. I think Hera is the best player in the world at the moment, and so I do see him continue on his run of form and win Warlords II.
Okay, so we've got a Hera win from Tars Ascent. Let's move over to Pandas. And very similar predictions for the first round of games there. 4-1 to Yo, 4-2 to Hera, 4-1 to Velez, 4-2 to Taro. Pretty much all the same. But then we get into semi-finals, and it's 4-3 to Hera, and then 4-3 to Viper, and then the classic, the kind of the final that everyone is hoping and probably expecting would be a Viper versus Hera. We seem to get them a lot these days.
Yeah, we do. We do. I don't know. I think that's I guess honestly that's almost like what everyone. I don't know, maybe not, but like almost what everyone would like prediction kind of.
You went for the safe prediction. This is the try hard prediction right here.
I didn't even try. Well, I was like, I'm gonna be spicy. I'm gonna give Sito 2 wins against Tato because I think he has good momentum on his side. He's won his last 3 matches after having not the best qualification, and in the first 2 rounds in the main event, it was a bit not ideal, and then he turned it around. So this I think he can easily take 2 games. Like momentum is on his side, in a sense. So maybe he could do more, but I think a best of 7 might be a bit too much against someone like Tato from his experience. And then everything else, I don't know. I just maybe I'm a bit ambitious thinking Yo Hera's going to the 7th game.
I can see both of the semis going to 7 games easily.
Yes, that's the thing, but I wasn't a bit unsure about that one, but I'll stick to it. It's going to be a great set.
I kind of think for Viper it could be tricky. Like, I don't know how much the rest is still troubling him these days, but like 2 best of 7s and a best of 9 final. Let's see, he has to play 6 games against Velez. He gets to the semi final, which he has to play 7 games there. And maybe you're talking like 7 or 8 games, or even 9 games in the final as well. It could be a very big load over a couple of days. And it has given him issues in the past.
That is true. I think he'll be fine because they he's playing the quarterfinal on Friday and then Saturday and then Sunday. So I think there should be enough. He should have I think he'll have like 20 hours of rest, which should be enough. I think.
You would hope so.
Yeah, and then it's the thing I'm most excited for, and this whole knockout stage is Jordan picking Black Forest against Yo.
It's probably gonna happen.
Yeah, and I would love to see how they approach that.
Probably is gonna happen. I think the hardest one to predict actually is a 3rd place match, because I think we'll have players going into that, and we don't really have a great culture in AoE of players. I don't know, playing to their fullest in the 3rd place games, if there's not a lot of money between it and whatnot, they're just kind of like, ugh, we'll just play it and maybe try something different.
Yeah, I think there's one exception to that. I was the Grand Melee 3rd place match, Viper against Taro, 4-3 for Viper. That was
a good series.
Yeah.
And it makes a bit of a difference when it's a best of 7. I think best of 7 just feels a lot more serious than we're gonna have it put on. We'll give you a best of 5 guys as a 3rd place. It feels like you have the final, which is the main card, then you have the 3rd place match, which is the undercard, and it just it doesn't make you feel as good, you know?
No, but yet at the same time, it's like they have already lost, so they're playing for glory and for a little bit more prize pool. So you can't really expect them to be performing in super try hard level in a 3rd place match. I think usually they put the idea for the 3rd place match is that it's like a warm up for the final for the viewers and the casters.
Some airtime.
They have a little bit more content and they can build up momentum on their channel to hype people up for the final. So
totally. Okay, let's go on to mine then. and this is an interesting one. So, well, I pretty much have the exact same thing for the quarterfinals, the last 8. 4-1 to Yo, 4-2 to Hera. I can see Leary taking 3 games, but I'm kind of backing off him just because of the work situation thing. I don't know how practice is going to be. I've got 5-per, 4-2 over Valesa, and then Taro 4-1 over Sato. I think one thing you kind of have to note for a best of 7 especially, I think it's you're very likely to get a Civ 1 and one, like a very clear Civ 1 in a best of 7. And it shouldn't be overly difficult to pick up a game. As long as you're playing at your best, you should be able to pick something up there, I think. So I think most of them should take a game. But who knows if I'll be right in that. And then semi-finals, I get a little bit wild. I've got Yo and Hera, and then Viper Taro, but I went opposite of what Panda said. I've got 4-Yo, 4-3 to Yo, and then 4-3 to Taro. Which I do feel like those semi-finals, if that's what happens, are going to be like coin tosses. I think there'll be very, very small margins. I can see that. And then I've got Mr. Yo, the big man himself, winning 5-3 in the final. And I think historically, Tato's actually got a good matchup against Yo, but I'm a Yo stan, so.
It was really good in finals. If Yo reaches the final, I favor him against pretty much anyone except Viper. But yeah, I mean, even against Viper in the final, Yo can be a really good opponent. You check the S tier tournament, Yo hasn't been runner-up a lot. He won the Open Classic. He won Resurgence. He won RMS Cup 2. And then before that, he won Red Bull 1. He won Mangrove Shallow Cup. Like, he has won his 5 last S tier finals. So if he makes the final, he's really, really good in the decider game, decider sets. I mean,
Sorry to chip in here now. I'm just looking at the settings for the final. It's a normal best of 7 draft. And then game 8 will be the least played map of the tournament, and game 9 the most played map. I didn't know that. I usually check
I didn't know that
the
either.
rules a lot. And so we will see Socotra
yeah,
in the final potentially.
Oh, that'd be really
who
interesting.
Who is the current Socotra champion? I think it's Mr. Yo.
I'd be leaning towards Yo being pretty heavily favored there. That would be really nice for him for sure.
And then most played at the moment is Arena, but I might change over the next couple of days.
Oh god, could you imagine Mem having to do game 9 Arena?
Arena on game 9 and someone deleting buildings and walls with Manaspa.
Jeez.
I really like that we all chose different players, and I think every prediction is possible, which is super exciting. Like, it shows that they're all, like, even though like maybe Hera is like slightly better, or like Viper and Hera are the top 2, it's super close and everyone can win. I wouldn't be surprised if Leary beat Hera. Well, maybe a little bit surprised, but I could see that a possibility as well.
Leary could win the full thing.
Leary
it's still
could win
Leary. This is the thing, and we all have him going out in that quarterfinal stage, but he could easily win it all. That's just the level that everybody is at.
I don't see Jordan,
he did
or
beat a really good
upset
Doubt as well, right?
Yeah.
Leary before Doubt was sick, like, and Doubt's in really good form over the last couple of months, I'd say.
I think Doubt was really looking forward to Warlords 2, and he was really hoping for a good performance, but we'll have to wait for NEC. I hope he qualifies for NEC this time. It would be a big bummer. It'd be a huge bummer if Doubt doesn't qualify for the last NEC.
Yeah,
definitely.
I would be gutted for him. Okay, let's move on to what's coming up next. We just quickly mentioned NEC. We'll start with cartographers. we'll try and just spend a few minutes on these before we get into the quiz answer, then the Tourney Spotlight before sending everybody off. So Cartographers is going to be hosted by Viper. It's going to be a 2v2 tournament. Quite a few good teams signing up in the last couple of days. Mainly the GL players and the AM and some other ones. But I kind of touched on it earlier, there's a lot of maps in this. And it's going to be single elimination. There's 21 maps in total. It's going to kind of work in the same way as Warlords with the map categories and all that. But it's very, very... The maps are very diverse, let's put it that way. We have some maps like Water Nomad, which I of course love. We've got Zubwall, which is from TTL. And with a kind of 2v2 flavor, they will be most definitely played in ways you're not probably used to, I would expect. And it's 15,000, so it's no small amount, but not a huge amount either. And it's only going to take 2.5 weeks, if I remember right, because it's single elim.
Yeah.
So it will be over very fast.
Very short, and then
best of 9 final as well. But it's been a while since we had a high level 2v2 tournament, so I'm really excited about that.
Trying to think.
World Cup. It's got to be World Cup, no?
Oh, Terra Nova Duos is the one I think about. That was April to June of last year, and it had a lot of maps as well. It had basically all the top teams. I think won by Mr. Yo and Lix against by Insanity actually.
Yeah.
Sito, Margugu, and Anotov were the.
I remember watching some of
duo.
those. Had some
interesting
games.
That was like the big breakthrough for Margugu as well, if I remember right, when everyone kind of like took a bit of notice
that was
of him.
the big breakthrough. I think both him and Anotov won prizes as like the most improved players or something like that, or maybe it was the Return of Clans.
Oh.
But yeah, definitely.
Oh, now I'm forgetting about Return of the Clans. Now
I think Return of the Clans was more Anatov's breakthrough in a sense.
I do remember Anno getting the breakthrough award for one of them.
Yeah,
I think it was
that was definitely for Return of the Clans. He
Return of
got
Clans,
the award.
yeah.
And
but like on this one, they already beat I think Suomi like 4-1, so that was a pretty good game for them.
So teams signed up, get Aftermath, Yo, Vivi together, Nikov, MBL, Viper and Jordan, which is of course just a classic pairing for the years. Taro and Doubt is together with Nelly on the team as well. Margugu and Sator together. Ganji, Barrels, and Valis. There's a lot of very good teams signed up already. I think after we get past like maybe... Do you know what? Even going down to like the seeded number 32 team, it's pretty decent level. We have like Metiu and Onleki, Thunderbolt, Dratek here at 30, Menunez, Samero. Not too bad at all. Not too bad. So there's...
I think with 2v2s you can get a lot of good like teams, so it runs deep. Compared to like a 3v3 or 4v4 tournament.
Yeah, because you can just fit more teams, right? You can have 2 Aftermath teams essentially, or 2 GL teams. So
yeah.
The team with like seed 43, no, seed 44 is the last one, or like from seed 45 onwards at the moment as a team average below 2k. So really strong line, like really strong bracket.
Yeah, for sure.
So far, and that's gonna, it will be fun to see because it is going to be the first team game tournament with the 9 villages start. So
I will be interested to see how that works out.
Yeah, and especially I just can't wait to see Black Forest. Like I'm just seeing like that it will be I think it might be very similar to that Vivi freaking Andy game that people should go watch. Like we'll see a lot of that from all 4 players in a game. it's I I think like that's what I'm excited for this.
I am excited to have team games back in the menu for a little while. Just a quick couple of weeks. It'll be kind of nice, a little flash event, and it'll be over, and then we'll be into NEC qualifiers, which is happening in December. Main event now happening in January. The last one ever, as Nelly said at the moment. All the big castles there. Dave, Mem, T90, and Dash. It's gonna be. It's probably going to be a bit of a sad one, I think. It'll be an end of a chapter for the community with NEC 5. And what's happening with Nelly afterwards, we kind of don't know yet. If you are wondering, Nelly's, I think he's going to be going on vacation, taking some time away, but he's not entirely sure what's going to be happening with work and whatnot. But it seems to be he's going to be like going to more of a part-time role. I guess we'll see. And I guess qualifiers are... I'm trying to find the date here. Not 100% sure, but Hera, Leary, Viper, and Yo.
After...
Is it like the day after?
Cartographers. Yeah. I think it's the same way you get like 3 days to play the first round. And then if I mean I could just go look it up, right? There's a Wikipedia page. Like the first 4 days, it's like round of 48 free scheduling between players, and then the last 3 rounds are at set times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see it now.
I have to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be good. I'll be there in Berlin in January. It was good in March as well. I'm looking forward to it, but it was very quick the last time. Only went for Thursday through to Monday morning, very early Monday morning. So I'll be going for a bit longer and hopefully take a bit more of the city in. Even though I'm not sure if Berlin's exactly my favorite city, but I'd like to see a little bit more. We will see. Okay, let's get on. Or is there anything else to add on NEC, gents?
I do like Nelly's the donation incentives.
Oh yes,
for the big donators.
That's actually that's a good thing to talk about.
I really like that. I wouldn't mind if somehow it's easy to do with the LAN in this case, because like you can get the players to sign some of the stuff that he's giving away, which makes it easier. But I think it's an easy way to, depending on how you do it, like to potentially add $5,000 to a prize pool here and there in the future for tournaments, right? Like let's say for Hidden Cup, right? Like that's maybe happening. We're waiting to see. Like T90 says, for 5,000.
It is happening. We just don't quite know when yet.
When? Yeah.
The question is
yeah,
when.
but he has confirmed it.
And he says like for $5,000 you can pick one of the heroes' names, like, or it could maybe be your name, right, or something like that. And like I'm sure there are people that would be willing to do
It's
that.
a lot of money, and I think that's my concern with Nili's idea as well, is that everything is very, like, the prices are very steep. I understand why he's doing it. He has a lot of money to raise, but I'm wondering how realistic it is. And like, I feel like it's like, like when you do this a Kickstarter, you get rewards to people, and it's like it's very progressive. And here I don't see a lot of small contributions being rewarded. Like basically, if you want to go to the lowest tier, it's like
it's $100
a T-shirt, and it's like
to have a name and a
it's even
whiteboard.
like 300 or something.
Oh,
for 100.
For a signed T-shirt, I've got it up just now. It's 331. For a signed hoodie, it's 350, and a lot of them have been claimed. For a signed mousepad, it's $300. So it is high. Don't get me wrong. It would be nice to have some more things around that, like 25 and 50, but it's kind of.
Yeah.
He's
and then the question.
He doesn't want to do things. He doesn't want to put too much effort into doing these things. He wants to make sure that the money is obviously right for doing it, so it's worth the time.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
I 100% get it. I think it's something that can work in the future, but I also think it's something that it's not as easy as it may look. And I think the most efficient way of doing it requires a lot of work to think about progressive tiers of rewards and all that. And I hope it's gonna work out for him. I haven't checked where he's at yet.
If you had to take a
I
guess, what do
think
you think is that?
6,000.
Not even close.
Oh,
I'm
really?
looking
Is
at
it
it, so I'm not gonna
higher?
guess.
A lot higher, yeah. So 16, so 10 grand more than you thought. So already
Okay, that's
and that's
pretty good.
it's been live for about 2 weeks. And keep in mind, we've not really had we've not had the qualifiers on, we've not had the main event on. You're gonna get a lot more donations during the main event. So $16,000 already is a really good idea. I think and Nelly said it was Dash's idea to do this, and Dash, has a big League of Legends background, so he's probably a bit more aware of ways to get funds in, or different ways to fundraise for the competitive scene. It does feel like our competitive scene is like so underbaked at times, but I think it's a good thing. There's definitely improvements that could be made for like war level investment. I 100% agree.
Personally, I'm saying personally a lot, but I think at the higher end is just pricing out even the really big donators.
I think so. Like 20,000 is a lot to decide on the map. I probably just went. So we have like these ones that go from like 100 to 700, and there's like 7 items there. It goes 1,300, 3 grand, 5, 7, 10, 11, 12, and it goes up to 20. So we have an 8,000 jump there, and it seems like. Who's really gonna do that? I can see someone spending 10 grand to spend a day at NEC in the GL house. I can genuinely see that. I can't see someone spending 20k to decide on a map, because that's not an experience.
Yeah,
I can see the player show match.
Even.
Like it's a lot of money to play with a pro. You can play with Hera for like 100 euros, something like that. But like the rest, yeah, I don't think it's realistic. And if you look at the breakdown, the highest claimed thing is like $500. It's
at
the
the moment
Red Bull things, which are pretty cool.
No,
It's way overpriced for 500, but
the hoodies is the one that's the most
historic thing.
The hoodies is at 24 claims, and there's only 40 of them, so there's only 16 left, and they're 350 a pop. So that's a good seller. It's clothes, something you can wear, something you can show to people. That is a memory that you can actually hold on to. You can't hold on to a map that's going to be in some VOD for the next 20, 30 years. Who cares about that, really?
Yeah, and like you can't even choose like for nothing. It says within reason for entertainment. So I don't think this one is ever going to be claimed.
I would be very surprised.
No map is worth that much money. I think it's just too high. The only one in the top end these that I would spend, or the highest, is that spend a day at NEC 5.
Yeah, I think
that's pretty much the only one.
That is the one that people would want.
The one slightly above it seems interesting, but I mean, why?
I feel like this is underpriced.
Camera.
It's like if you're gonna spend that much money, you might as well spend 500 more and do something more.
But you can only do it once, so.
True, and it's the last time.
Yeah,
it's also the only time you could do it.
Yeah, and it could also be only like on the first day, maybe. Or not. So then it's also like the first day everyone's finding their feet or something. Like, although I don't, maybe Nelly would work out.
I would think it'd be towards the end. I would be surprised if it wasn't.
Yeah, but at least I wouldn't. If I had the money, I would buy myself to spend a day there.
I'd buy a hoodie, but my card was denied.
Oh, really?
I tried to buy one. Yeah, but it's yeah.
I would There's no need to spend 10k to meet people. You just hover around the hotel at night time and have some beers, and then it'll be good to go.
And see, like, there's also like almost like a fifth of the entire money, $3,000 in other donations. So like just people donating without any expectations to get anything. So that's cool as well to see.
Yeah, just people will donate, and I mean that's what people have. That's what they've done for the last NEC as well. It was 35k or something, and most of it coming on the last couple of days. So I can't remember the exact amount, but it's the most it's ever been crowdfunded, as far as I'm aware.
And those will always pick up as the event.
Yeah, once you get to the conclusion, you always get a lot more donations. Okay, let's keep moving then. Let's come to our final answer for the quiz. I hope you've had some thinking time, gents.
Oh.
No.
Neither Castle Age Mind Technology is available to the civilization.
Okay.
Can you think of any?
It has to be a new civ. It cannot be one of the Age of Kings or Age of Conquerors civ. It has to be a new civ, and probably a civ that's shit for eco.
You're on the right tracks.
I'm gonna say...
You're on the right tracks with new.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I'm
say Magyars.
Dude, I said you're on the right tracks with new. Don't say Magyars, they're old.
They're new.
Magyars aren't
For me, they're new.
Come on.
Taz has played in new Sea Days.
Yeah, I played
Oh my god. You're living in the past, bro.
Yeah.
When I started on Uglie, there wasn't Warlord Kingdoms, so I had to play all the old civs and only that.
Let me give you a clue. The last 3 DLCs.
Okay. And I don't have an idea.
No,
The last 3 is Armenians. Well, it's like Mountain Royals.
We'll see.
Rome,
Yeah, okay. We'll see if you can get the last 3 DLCs.
And the Indian dynasty, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very recent civs. Could it be Romans?
No. Let me give you guys a clue, and let's see if you can get it first. 2 pro players beefed over the Civ.
Oh, okay.
What, Dravidians?
It's Dravidians, yeah.
Of course, no wonder they're the worst Civ, according to some.
Obviously referring to the Hera and Viper memes that were going on. But yeah, it's the Dravidians.
Viper has a challenge currently for Hera. It says if he wins with Dravidians on Black Forest in Warlords, then he'll give him VIP on his channel, I think.
Yeah, there's like another running channel or challenge for everyone else but Hera.
Exactly.
Where if you beat Hera with Dravidians on an open map, you get VIP on Viper's channel.
And Heart is now VIP'd.
Yeah.
Heart is now VIP'd, so he's loving it up. Okay, 2 hours and 15 minutes on the clock. Let's get over to our last little section now, our Tourney Spotlight. So it's going to give all 3 of us a chance to just shine a bit of a light on some other tournaments that are going on within the community that you might not have heard of. Some of them are ongoing or coming up. And let's just start with mine, I think. And I've started off with the Fastest Chaos, which is a DM tournament. And DM players always do a really good job at supporting their own kind of like tourneys, I guess. We have Brew in there. There's a very good DM player. We got Daywalker, freaking Chris, freaking Andy. Andy did really come for the DM background before going over to RM. You've got Nelly in there. Nelly's one of the best DM players in the world, even though you might not think it. Some of the Brits are also in there. True, also working Forgotten Empires, very good DM player. And I think the group stage is just about to end, so you'll be finding that on the Otter one on Twitch, and Cast of Empires is like a smaller YouTube channel. Has been doing some of it on there, but I think Nelly's also streamed some PvE, and I don't see Andy on the Wikipedia page, but probably is, going to be streaming POV for that one as well. Second one for me is Blue Carbon Cup, which is hosted by, God, I hate saying his name, Hui Koyoto. That's good, right?
Yeah, sounds good.
I think that's pretty good. And 50% of the donations go into, well, essentially the theme of the map is like water maps and with lots of like kind of marshland and other things, and it's about, conservation, and it's going to the nature of the Seychelles, which I think, which it's environment themed, to put it simply. Kind of a small prize pool, but not too bad. The players in it are still decent though. We have Fire in there, Nelly, but a good kind of theme around it. I think it's just the finals coming up now, and Margugu and so it's double elimination. So we got Margugu and Degal in the winners final, and then the loser will drop in and play Freaking Andy, and then there'll be a grand final after that. So it'd be a good time to pick that up. That's been streamed by quite a few of the players, and then for casters, looks like we've got Daniela here, Blackadder doing some of them more, but probably best to check out Spec Dashboard for when the games are ongoing. There's nothing scheduled. No, there is Dogal versus Margugu as tomorrow, which will be the 16th of November. And the last one for me is GB Hidden Cup 2, which, for clarification, I am one of the organisers for it, but it's hosted by Big Walt. And why this is included is we have the Hidden Cup thing is something that's been done to death by quite a few of the communities, but I don't know if any other of the I've seen it done by the Norwegians, I've seen it done by the Spanish. I don't know if anyone else has took the same route as us and doing it over like pop culture references. So we have people like Adele, who's going to be world famous, Liam Gallagher, Noel Gallagher, Lara Croft, the gaming character, of course, Gordon Ramsay, people know, Hermione Granger from Harry Potter, and it just kind of puts a different angle onto it all. It makes it all very silly, which when you have hidden identities, it probably should be. But this has just been started, and you will find that over on B1GWALT. So it's Big Wall. 1 for the I. What do they call that again when you place numbers for letters? There's a word for that.
I don't know.
No idea.
There's a certain, I can't remember what they call that, but it's a certain style. It's a style of name.
Thing? I don't know.
I can't remember though, but it's a certain style of name.
I'm cheering for. Actually, I have no idea. Most of these names, I don't. It's not. It's out of my.
Like you really need to be up to date with British pop culture to like understand like the silliness of the situation of like.
I don't know even half of them.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. So I think it's Tarz's. That's actually a tough one to say.
Yes. So I have three tournaments to shout out. 2 of them are finished, and another one is upcoming pretty soon. So the first one I want to talk about is Rising Teams, the gold bracket, which was a 3v3 tournament hosted by Bennett Arms. And the tournament finished, it finished around 10 days ago, I think, something that maybe last week or something. And so it had pretty good teams. I'm partial towards team game tournaments because I find them more fun to watch than other tournaments. So this one, the final was between My Insanity, so Sito running Anatov and Danielle, and All Around the World, which was kind of a made-up team of the Freaking Andy, Slam, and ACCM. I'm not gonna spoil the results in case viewers have not caught up with it and want to watch. It was streamed up by a few different people, lots of POV streaming, and it was overall very cool. I think lots of a healthy variety of maps, lots of fun games, lots of high-level teams. So yeah, lots of fun. Another tournament I'm gonna give a shout out to was Vico House Cup 2. So this was pretty cool, I think. So Vico is a Belgian streamer who has organized this tournament at his house, and so it's a LAN event with players in the French-speaking community, and I think it's kind of a knack, but for lower-rated players, but still super fun, I think, to meet people that you've gamed online for a long time, and I didn't really watch a whole lot of it, but the production value was pretty cool, I think, and they had I think Sito and
PLP.
PLP come
Mm-hmm.
in and offer casting. They were not playing. I think the ELO rate was limited to players between 1800 and 2100 or something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was actually limited to them or if that was a sub, and that just happened to be
probably,
what the
yeah.
subset happened to be.
So I think they probably high limit and no low limit, and that was probably the ELO range. So that happened.
$1,500 in that. Pretty good, decent prize pool.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
Pretty decent prize pool. And the last tournament I want to talk about is upcoming. So it's End of War. It's a charity tournament hosted by Eliar, a French streamer, and all the donations during the event will go to an association called Endomind that fights against endometriosis. And that's the 4th time she is doing this event. I think the prize pool is €1,000. The tournament will happen next weekend, so not the upcoming weekend, but the weekend of the 25th and 26th of November. The tournament has 8 players, and it's pretty high level. So there's 6 invited players. I think all of them from last year. So Barl, Capoch, Dogao, Kingston, Sito, and Valas. Valas won last year against Sito in the final. And then we have 2 players who qualified, and those are Taro and Mr. Yo. So very strong lineup. And it should be good fun. 9 villagers starts again. Good variety of maps, including maps that we haven't seen in a long time. So like Bypass from Hidden Cup 4, and some very classic ones, Atacama, Frolix, etc. I think it should be a fun event and it's a good cause. So yeah, those are my 3 choices.
Nice one. Panda then?
Go. Oh, sorry. It was a sneeze. So I have Outback Legends. That's one tournament going on currently for the Australia New Zealand community. It's actually quite a like looking up at it. There's a couple of like the lowest rate is 1800, and then there's quite a few 2K players playing in it.
It's a good tournament, man. You have like Zane, you got Timber, Salted, Kiwi, Soxy, Razor, No Zombie, Dina's there. There's maybe a few names missing, but it's a
Shed or Robo.
yeah, like there's a few names missing from like the Aussie scene, but it's still like pretty decent level.
Yeah, it's also like nice to see a community with like hosting their own things, and then they have like quite a really solid level for the player base. Because as a like to bring like to my own like national community is we have like 2 players, me and Lozard. We just dominate every tournament, and then he dominates me in the final, and that's been happening for the last 2-3 years now. And it's not like it's nice seeing like communities like this having that ability to have good competition all across the board and at a high level. Because I mean, like 1800 2K plus. That's very good. That's very good, right? That's
It's like 99 percentile probably. I can't remember the exact, but like it's extremely high.
And I mean, the maps they're playing is the ones we always know. Arabia, Arena, Four Lakes, Islands. It's very standard map pool, so nothing's gonna be out of the ordinary there, I would say.
Yeah, and that's
Then
487 USD, and that's organized by Desi. And I think Desi's done a couple. I think he sponsored a couple events before, so good job for him. It's always good to have these community kind of events.
yeah, then there is a 4v4 tournament that happened last week ish. Laka anniversary. That if I'm that was obviously hosting by Laka Gaming, and that was to celebrate they have their 1 year anniversary. But I remember correctly, and then they had Laka, of course, playing themselves. They had Fox, they had the team from Down Under, and they had Pub there. I don't know if anyone cares about me saying how it ended.
I have the results on my screen. Go for it.
Okay, yeah. So Laka Gaming, they won the whole event. They only lost one game, and I think that was to Team Down Under, and then Fox. That's in a sense understandable. They had like Mark Gugu playing. He was definitely the highest rated player in the whole tournament, and I would so
Was Bargo
they-
playing?
Yeah, he
Yeah, he
was. To be honest, Fox. I was kind of surprised Fox didn't win more games, but they're maybe just a little bit out of practice. Like, they're still a very good team game players. They got PLP, Capec.
Yeah, I was like trying to think. My only surprises for this was Pub finishing last, even though they did beat Fox. But I would, at least on paper, I would rate. I would. I'm gonna get so like criticized for this. But I think they should be on paper a better team than the Aussies, and then they ended up losing to them. But maybe I'm on it with what I think. But I thought I was thinking that, or at least I think they should on. They underperformed for their
Right.
for what far they can play, and at least I would have expected them, or at least like blindly coming into this, like I would have thought second or third would have been around where they would place, and then didn't turn out like that. They did beat Fox in the end. That was the last series. I'm trying.
Looking at it. And
I
Fox
did-
had
I
to play
did
Black
watch.
Forest and Arena in every set. They must have loved it.
Oh god.
I remember I was watching one of the casts. One of the Fox players got defeated on Arena in a set, I think, which
Feels bad, man.
which is some
To be
people
fair, I
don't.
think they enjoy Black Forest.
I think they do.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah,
biggest
a lot of
surprise.
them played on Rage, and yeah.
Yeah, the biggest surprise for me is I think all those teams are actually very, very even-ish. It's just a matter of how much Laka can ran away with it. Like only losing
very impressive.
one game is actually really impressive. That is domination right there.
Lost it on Regicide Fortress to the Aussies, but I mean, like Aussies are. It's
probably their favorite map. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is Chad's favorite map.
It's against the boom, man.
Automatic buff.
Yeah.
For them. And then my last tournament, it's ongoing. It's actually not close to. Well, it's actually close to completion. It's the H4 Greeks community. They're hosting a Nomad Cup on a wide variety of maps, even like some that we don't, or like some of the maps are like adjusted to be Nomad slot. Like they have Nomad Valley and Nomad Meadow and Four Lakes and
Nomad Atacama.
So
yeah.
that's interesting. I've not seen much of this because mostly players haven't like streamed it really, and I've not. I would say I keep on missing when they happen, but we have quite a lot of solid teams here. WWP is playing, all around the world is again playing. Foxes has two teams. The Taiwan team is playing. So there's like quite a lot of really good Nomad. keeps my insanity as well. And then at the moment, we are working towards the final stages of the event, and we have like all around the world against amigos that needs to be played. Combi against Fox Meta. That's the Fox team with Margugu, Mihai, and Sebastian. Should be a good set. Then we have Taiwan against the Brazilian team. That's Faraday, Paganini, and Alive, and that's in the losers bracket. Sal's is waiting for the winner of that last set, and then so far only in the winners bracket for what has been played. My insanity is waiting in the that's in the winners bracket final for the winner of All Around the World and Amigos. And so lots of good competition, I would say.
If there's any time to start watching, it would be now when you've only got the last few games to go. So it's definitely a good time. I think most of the streaming players look like, if you're gonna see it in English, probably Andy's gonna be your best bet. If you can speak Chinese, you're gonna be laughing because you can watch WWP or Tag. But I don't see a lot of commentators picking it up in English. I think Age for Greeks is doing it, and their Twitch link is on the Wikipedia page. It's probably going to be the best place to check there. So if you like Nomad maps, it's definitely going to be one to check out.
For you, Paradox.
I haven't watched any of it yet. I've not actually seen too much of it. It feels like it's been going on for a while now. Yeah, it's pretty much like 3 months. But that's
they also had
double elimination.
A very big announcement lead up to it. It was like announced.
Yeah, it was.
I want to say June.
It was announced very early, and then the sign-ups didn't open for like a few weeks, or like even longer than that, which to me was kind of strange, because when you usually announce something, you might as well use that momentum to let people sign up. That's just my personal opinion, but there might have been other reasons why it was done like that. I don't know. Whew. The clock is at 2:35. I said at the beginning, off air, it's probably going to be longer than they expected, and I guess it was. But it was a joy. I guess looking ahead, we'll try and get back together. God, I've only got a day. I guess after the cartographers, maybe before NEC would be the best time. We can maybe talk about the photographers and have a little bit of a look ahead there, and then we can start thinking about Hidden Cup, which is going to be round the corner as well. It's unconfirmed when it's going to be from 290, but I would be expecting sometime in early 2024, from what the hints I've heard. I'd be kind of surprised if it wasn't, but after NEC, of course. We'll see.
Didn't he say on stream a couple times there might be something before Christmas, announcement of an announcement.
Ooh. So that would get people very excited, because I know a lot of people are obviously waiting for that to happen, and yeah, it will be exciting when it does happen.
But it is a maybe, so I guess there's some other things that have to be ticked off before you can announce these things.
Probably.
But,
yeah, we'll see.
I'm excited.
Well, I guess we all are. If you made it through the full video, thank you very much. You can leave a like or subscribe if you really enjoyed it. You can comment as well, tell us how to get better, what we can do a little bit more. And Discord, the link is going to be at the bottom of the screen there as well. But that's all from me. Tarsus, anything else as a closing?
No, it was a pleasure, as always, talking about all things Age of Empires, and I'm looking forward to the end of Warlords this week, and to see how the cartographers get started, and then hopefully by next time we'll have more information about the qualifiers of Hidden Cup and all that.
Panda, anything else?
Not much. Just enjoy watching and playing the game for everyone who listened. That's all I have.
That you don't need to say anymore. That's a great way to finish it. It's very easy to forget. You're meant to enjoy the game, but yeah. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Have fun, and we'll see you on the next one. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.